In today's video, I'm showing this lovely big cob who's recently had a small bout of laminitis. I'll be taking off the side clips, putting on some unclipped shoes to reduce any constriction, sticking with the equilibrium shoes for the wide support of the toe, and they also will allow me to give a little bit of width up the outside. This horse's feet turn in slightly, so we're going to give him a bit of lateral support with the shoe just to help support the bone column. In normal terms, that just means we're going to put the shoe where the foot should be in an ideal world. It's important when we trim this foot that we don't take too much off. We want to take enough off so we can trim it to the length we want, but we don't want to go taking out too much sole. We want to leave a little bit for protection. Get his foot trimmed up, balanced up. Stick a shoe on it. Pull it forward just so we can dress any mediolateral flare and make sure that the angle of the toe is where I want it to be. They tend to get a kind of slipper effect with their feet where the internal damage weakens the structures and they just kind of start to grow down and forward. So we want to just try and keep them as neat as possible. Now that's just me seeing that where I rasped up to there is quite an obvious depth in the hoof wall that's grown down from the coronary band, which would suggest there's been a slight sink of the pedal bone / bony column within the foot, which again is common with chronic cases of laminitis. Got a size 2 mustard equilibrium, exactly the same shoes that this horse had on. I'm just going to grind the clips off, chuck it in the fire and get it fitted. For anyone interested, the shoes come out of the forge at between 11 and 1500 degrees C. If you're from across the pond, you'll need to Google that one, unfortunately. But it's pretty hot. Just whilst I'm fitting this shoe up, we'll do a super brief description of what laminitis is. I'm not going to explain the whole thing in this video, otherwise it'd be about 2 hours long. It's basically a breakdown in the interdigitation between the sensitive laminae that line the pedal bone and the horny laminae, which are essentially the innards of the hoof wall. There's various reasons horses can get it. The main one here is due to being overweight and sugars in the grass. If it's something you want to have a look up, you can spend hours of your life looking into it, but it just means we have to shoe them slightly more sympathetically. They can be quite sore. It can be a life-ending condition. There's a lot of modern materials these days which make it extremely manageable. Luckily this horse doesn't get it too bad, but it does cause a lot of damage to the internal structures of the feet. You see me there just going through my nail holes with the back prick drill. Just helps you get a little bit more pitch when you're nailing your shoe on. More force of habit if anything. But it's a good one to have, especially when you realise you've got a big flat foot and you haven't done it. You'll notice then. So I'm just going to box off this shoe slightly more on the outside because we've fitted it a little bit wide just to give it a bit of extra support, and then I'm going to bevel off the toe. This horse's last point of contact when that foot comes off the ground, break over, is the outside toe quarter, which is slightly more exaggerated on a horse that's feet turns in. So by just beveling off that edge, which he'll do himself over time, it just means he'll be a fraction easier when he's moving. Okay, last thing we do before I nail this shoe on is just clean out the seat of corns there, just there. That can be where they get bruising, so it's important that there's no sole pressure there or around the toe. Little tip for nailing on unclipped shoes. You can see that I just did my outside toenail halfway in and then stuck a heel nail in. If you drive any nails straight in with an unclipped shoe, it will move back, and there is no moving it forward without taking all your nails out. So stick a couple in halfway through and then drive them on home. There was a couple of comments in the last video about what I'm doing to the nail tips after I've driven them. I see in America a lot of people just tap the tips straight against the wall, which, you know, is arguably as safe, but does create an extra job when you're clenching up that you've got to pull all your nails over 90 degrees. So just wring the tips off. It means if you're doing a horse and it does rip its foot from between your legs, there's only 2 mil of nail that's going to go through you, or hopefully through your chaps, and not half an inch. Let me know if you think the voiceover and little explanations are of interest. I'm not quite the Hoof GP yet with the old voiceovers, but there was again a couple of comments where people were asking if I could just explain what I was doing. I understand these are less likely to be watched by farriers and more likely to be watched by people that just want to see what's going on. So leave a comment. Let me know, and I'll try and answer best as I can. Okay, we're just clenching this foot up now. If you've watched any of my previous videos or shorts, you'll know exactly how to do this. Just gone for 5 nails in this foot. Doesn't really do anything too taxing, so traditionally, over here we'd use 7. More modern days we would use 6, but really the least amount of nails that's going to hold that shoe on for a shoeing cycle is the ideal.
Over around for the foot,
so
yeah.
A foot that size, 5 or 6 is
Stick
fine.
it up on the carpet later on.
You might get away with 4, but I don't like to do it on feet that big. Stick a bit of hoof oil on, it looks nice, helps maintain a bit of moisture in the wall, like we're taking that layer of periopal off and we're clenching that. And that's us. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's Forgework and hoof care tips, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. Got a question about shoeing, trimming or tools? Drop it in the comments, I read them all. Until then, stay between the ditches and I'll see you on the next one.